Hey, so I just finished watching Love and Monsters, and it was definitely better than I was expecting. From the trailer, I was kind of expecting just kind of a middling, good enough for COVID type movie. That was just kind of like a fun enough diversion to waste 2 hours while the world is going to crap type movie, you know? But it was surprisingly like much better than I had any hope for it to be. Which gave me even more interest than I originally had was I saw just how well received it was and how popular it was, and I was still gonna try it anyways because I was like, well, I might as well give it a shot. But I didn't really expect to get much out of it even before I heard the response the movie had gained. But I'm glad to say that I understand the warm reception towards it. To get out of the way, I think I give the movie a 7.75 out of 10. It's hard for me to gauge exactly where to give this movie out of 10, but I think that's the one I've settled on. Because like it's hard for me to just put a number to like this experience, but I think that one's pretty good. One of the few issues I have with it is that there's a couple of things that it could have done that it failed to do that I feel. And I don't want to go into spoilers to talk about that. But it just means that I thought that the plot was far too predictable and that it should have done a couple of things to keep it interesting. But the movie was still a lot of fun. It was very funny, especially towards the beginning. It was very funny. And yeah, the cast was very delightful. I liked the mix and tones, and Paramount has just been knocking it out of the park recently. It definitely combines the two things that Paramount does best, which is a mid budget, well, all their stuff is mid budget, so weird art housey, like sci fi stuff, and B, the loosely video game inspired uh stuff. So you get things that feel like Fallout and The Last of Us, things like that it starts to feel like this movie feels like anyways. Which makes sense because you know they've done video game movies. This production has anyways, like Paramount has. I mean, not to generalize, but you know, and it kind of mixes that with the bizarre visuals where I was trying to go with the art house angle of like Annihilation, stuff like that, kind of like the fungus stuff from Last of Us. You know, uh, I'm trying to not go into too many details because I don't want to spoil the movie. Yeah. What else can I comment on? The CGI wasn't very good. I know it's a mid-budget movie, but like it was pretty frequently taking me out of the film when all the action sequences were like real people or dogs interacting with fake CGI that clearly was not in the same plane of existence as the real objects. So it was clearly just like computer generated because it wasn't there in the same frame, and you can tell that they're just like holding on to nothing because there's just like nothing there that they're holding on to, and it's like it just doesn't look right. It looks like it's not quite there, you know, like it doesn't look like the animation is in the frame. It looks like it's on some other reality, some other plane of existence, and it's kind of hard to not see the movie without its CGI and just see that as existence. uh when the animation isn't as good. Uh yeah, that kind of took me out of a lot of the action. Uh yeah. As for the story, even though it's super predictable, it's still a good story. Uh I just thought of a couple of interesting swerves. Notably, one like making the robot more of a menacing rather than a heartwarming presence, which is what me and everyone else I was watching the movie thought what was gonna happen anyways, to like have something, because the hero's journey in the movie isn't all that bad. Like he doesn't really come up against any major threats during the journey. Like it feels like for a journey that's been hyped up as like nobody could possibly do this, and at the end, well, he's like, well, everybody can do this. It's the leap is weird between that. It's like I don't know, those two don't really go together very well. Uh, it's a paradox, you know. Uh, and I don't know why at the beginning of the movie they're like, "It's impossible, nobody could possibly do it." If there were so few obstacles in the way, if there was like and those obstacles, those very obstacles weren't very challenging. So it's like, why had no one tried this before? Why were they so skeptical of him doing it? Why was everyone like, "Oh, it's the most dangerous thing ever"? I don't get. Uh, Anyways, these are probably nitpicks. It's definitely fun enough that I think everyone will pretty much enjoy this movie. Save, you know, the fact that there are movies where everyone's gonna like them. They're with movies, some people are gonna like them, some people aren't gonna like them. That's just a given, but it's just a ratio of given how much there's probably gonna be one of those where more people are gonna like it than dislike it. So yeah, it's definitely recommendable for me. Uh, yeah. What else? Trying to think. I guess that's it. Thanks for watching this review. I hope I'm not missing anything that I wanted to comment on. I'm really trying to think back now. I guess the structure of the movie was kind of messy. That was another thing that like kind of bothered me. I was worried at the end of the movie that it wasn't really gonna have much a point to him going through the whole journey. Uh, because it would all be undone in the end without spoiling anything. But then at the very end, they did give it that last bit of meaning that I was searching for in the whole movie having happened, which was another thing that was again predicted on my end. But you know, it's just one of those things. Yeah, I think that's about it. Also, everyone was right. Yes, you do need a dog for that movie because it is a very vital element. But it was very interesting seeing like a quirky list of characters I came across, like a robot and Michael Rooker, the actor that plays Yondu most famously for most mainstream moviegoers. That's probably how they'll know him. Uh, and then of course there's his girlfriend's colony, his old colony, where it's just like everyone's just sleeping around, and that's funny. Uh, yeah, it was just weird how they kept cutting to 10 years ago, but it was like it felt like it should have been like the 7 years ago piece should have been the beginning of the movie, and then it would be the present, like 7 years later, all in one gap. I think that would have felt less messy. I don't know. It was a little bit confusing in some places for me, a little bit. Uh, yeah. Trying to think if there's anything else. Why do I feel like there's more things to mention in this particular movie? Wasn't it kind of a leap to assume that the berries were poisoned at the end of the movie? Because he didn't actually know. I don't know. Anyways, whatever.